Hello everybody, my name is RetroBoy03, and welcome to the first LEGO rebuild MOC I've made in a while. And this is a model I'm calling the Egg Viper at Control Center. And this is a rebuild of the LEGO Batman movie set, Egghead Mech Food Fight, and from now on, I'm actually going to be structuring these videos a bit differently, where instead of having it just be one video for the instructions and the review, I'm going to be doing two separate videos. If I had to guess, the instructions will probably come out a day or two after this, although I can't be entirely sure about that. That's just what I'm hoping for, but yeah, without further ado, let's get to the main build. The Egg Viper. So here is the Egg Viper, the main build of this MOC, and if you don't know, what I base this off of is the Egg Viper vehicle and boss battle from the 1998 Sega Dreamcast title, Sonic Adventure. It's actually the final boss of Sonic's story, and, well, I don't really know why I did it, but it ended up kind of working out. To start with, you have these two little saw blades in the front, and, well, they really only look like saw blades from the top, though, because really it should be like, this brick really shouldn't be here, but there wasn't really any other way to get that, and I think it was just more important to overall have these saw blades, even if maybe they don't look perfect, but you can still angle them around to the sides, and they can also move side to side, just for a little bit of posability there. Sorry about that, a quick cut, but to get inside, you really just have to fold open the egg-shaped canopy, and you can see Egghead, who is kind of just being held in with his steering wheel. He does attach to some studs, but the steering wheel is really the main thing that holds him in, to be honest. I mean, since the studs he actually attaches with the back half of his legs to those studs, so it's not a super sturdy connection, but I did that on purpose to make it easier to get him in and out. On each side of here, you have a stud shooter, one ketchup, and one mustard, and you could have them facing forwards, or you could also just turn them around, and, well, you can't exactly just twist them around, but if you wanted to, you could just pull the whole piece out, and then just twist it around to the back, and I accidentally just fired it out there, but also, as you can see, they're on these ball joint, and the whip just snapped off because I didn't take a lot of care to attaching this, but yeah, if you don't want to attach the cord piece, the blaster can pretty much spin 360, and it's on this ball jointed piece, so it can move in any direction. And you could also just, like, move the gray piece forward and have the blaster just point forward. So you could also do, like, this. That looks pretty nice, but I'm just breaking everything, which probably isn't the best thing to do when I'm entering a mock contest. So yeah, that is a thing. If you're gonna be really messing around with everything, you do have to be a bit more careful, and you should really be doing things with two hands, which I'm really not for most of this, but yeah, the model is actually a lot more sturdy when you're just playing with it normally. I apologize, but going to the back here, we have a gunner's position for Condiment King, who would be using the stud shooters, which is why you could also have them point backwards, although I think they look better pointing forwards. Also, they work a bit easier with the cord pieces in that direction. As you can see, Condiment King does just have an extra stud shot for each on his back, and there's also an extra shot on here and here. And in here you can sort of see, like, the tanks of ketchup and mustard. And, something you probably noticed was this giant tail in the back. I mean, how would you not? But, this does have several ball joints on it, so you can get a lot of posability out of this, but before I show you that, I do want to show you the two main segments, and I kind of wish I'd been able to fit in 3, but there were really only pieces to make 2, so I only made 2. and I just hit my tripod, so I apologize for that, but this segment here is just kind of the free-range sort of, this subassembly that sort of looks like a fried egg is what I'm trying to say, was pretty much just stolen from the model, or at least just this combination of two parts, and here on each side you also just have some little printed egg tiles, and those sort of work for this back segment, which has built in this little disc shooter. So you can just push in this little Technic plunger and that'll just fire the disc off. And I think that that is a pretty nice feature, if I do say so myself. And yeah, and you, as I previously mentioned, these are ball jointed, so you can get it into several poses. For example, you can't exactly get it to the Egg Viper's in-game pose, but this is kind of close to what it would be with just the tail sort of arced back. Really, the tail would go forward a lot more than this, like you would actually have the segments coming out in front of the Egg Viper, but that's really not very possible, so I'm not going to try to do that, but you can also see the studs on top of here, since in-game Sonic, although I guess for this demonstration I'll have to use our good buddy Batman to show us what to do. Basically, in-game, and again, the segments would have been in front, but it still works like this. You can just have your figure sort of just leaping forward on these little segments to then attack the cockpit. See, I think you could definitely pose Batman up on there, although, of course, this isn't the entire MOC. I mean, this is definitely the main part of it, but there's also the control center that goes along with the Egg Viper, so let's take a look at that. So here we have the control center for the Egg Viper, and I'm just going to go left to right here. So starting off on the left, you can sort of see that basically, well, first off, the design of this is basically just have these two small catwalks, and on the left, you can see that we have this little sign for a chicken, and the idea here is that this is just where we would have this isn't a real chicken, it's just sort of a model chicken. Again, and this here, it's not very detailed, but this would be sort of a machine to dispense egg explosives, and there isn't any sort of action feature there. There wasn't really any room for them, but that's just sort of the idea here. And, well, obviously here you just have sort of a rack of egg explosives, and if you wanted to, you could just remove one of these and throw it at someone. In the middle here, we have Batman in this little containment cell, which I just built from the tank on the back of the mech. Pretty simple design, but I think it works fine. And if you're curious how that's attached, it's just, as well as how this whole thing is linked together, it really just uses this one Technic piece that links the two catwalks, and that also just, there's just a friction adding, not friction adding, just a friction, I guess. I don't know what the word terminology would be, but just an axle pin that just sort of attaches this, but you could still spin it around if you wanted it to sync up with one of the catwalks. But anyway, this side is a bit more interesting because, well, first off, as you can see, there's this little elevator platform that's just attached using a couple of ball joints. You can move that around, and you can also spin the platform on top. So if I just grab Egghead, you can sort of see that you could just sort of stand him up here on this little platform and then just move him around. I mean, it's a very simple feature, but it is nice, and obviously you could use this feature to just help him get a bit easier into his vehicle. So that's nice. But yeah, no, I actually just knocked a bit of it off, but you can see that down on the bottom here, you just have I'm just reattaching. You just have a little set of controls for controlling the elevator or just setting it up. But the last thing we got is you can see here that this panel, of course, has the Beat-O-Matic design on it, and I kind of wanted to create something that could be called a Beat-O-Matic. So here we have this little turret that has sort of the three-prong design. Like, obviously it's not perfect, those aren't mixing, but I really just wanted to get something with a little three-point design, and I think this works alright for this little turret. But that's not all we got here, because if you wanted to, since this is only attached like that, just a little pin, you could remove this turret, and you could attach it onto either one of the pods on the vehicle. However, I think it works a little bit better with the middle pod, because with the back one, you can't actually have it facing back. Plus, there's the disc shooter, so it just makes a bit more sense to go on here, I think. Plus, if you wanted to, you could have Condiment King actually be controlling this weapon instead of the two stud shooters. So, yes, that's pretty much the final egg control center, but there is actually one more very small build I have to show you, just from a couple of spare pieces. It's so simple, but it's just this tiny little build to hold Egghead's little coattail piece while he's in the vehicle. So yeah, that is the Egg Viper at Control Center MOC. And again, this is built only using pieces from the Egghead Mech Food Fight set. No other pieces are included, which made this quite a challenge because, I mean, obviously I turned a mech, which are always the hardest things to turn into anything else because they use a lot of ball joints and specialized pieces. It's rather difficult to turn a mech into something that's not a mech, but I think I succeeded pretty well because we have a nice vehicle, which I think ended up being fairly accurate to the source material with the sort of egg-shaped cockpit, the saws in front, the machine gun on either side, and the sort of segmented design, although the real Sonic Adventure thing, of course, isn't a two-seater since Eggman works alone. But then we also have the little base back here, which is pretty simple, but I think it works out nice as sort of like just an extra thing. And oh, how'd I forget? One more thing you could do with the catwalk is, if you don't like using that as a catwalk for your figures, you could also use it as a little stand for your vehicle if you just attach it up there, and then obviously position the tail and, well, position everything in a way so that you can have it sort of leaning its weight on partially on the ground. Like, it doesn't work super well, but you could sort of do something. Maybe give me a second. Here we go. Maybe something like this. I don't know, it's just a thought. If you wanted to display this in a bit of a different way, but overall, yeah, that is the final egg at, the Egg Viper at Final Egg Control Center MOC. So, thank you all so much for watching. I will see all of you in the next video, and goodbye!